Good evening.
Big burrito. Oh, sorry.
Wait
He
for
had a
him.
big burrito. And that's my segue into We're Live. Welcome to this week's episode of Adventures of the Redbane Guild.
Huzzah!
And Ian's big burrito.
Bowser's big bean burrito.
Welcome, everyone. Today, it is Thrain Day, the 17th of Red Moon. You have just finished conversing with Gerundian and Hideri in the house of Gerundian the Brewer, and he asked you to give him something in return for showing you the way to the Cliffwatcher, and Bew shared phonic brewing techniques with him, and that
Huzzah.
seemed to rather please him, and therefore he stated that in the morning you would leave. Thus you awake this morning, the 17th of Red Moon, in the house of Gerundian the Brewer. A thin shaft of light cuts through the small window in the corridor of his home within this hill, passing over you. The smell of food begins to overcome you, and when you have all come to, you find that Hideri, the other giant, is gone. Gerundian, you see, he's laboring over a pot suspended above a blazing fire. You see him adding ingredients, stirring, tasting. He taps his ladle on the side of the pot and sets it down, goes to the other corner of the room and starts pouring several tankards of ale for you all. And you are awake.
Well, good morning, Herr India.
Ale.
Breaking yawns.
Wonderful.
Boy.
It's not too early to start ale, yeah?
It's never too early
Never.
for ale.
For being on such a cold place, giant houses are sure warm, aren't they? They're cozy as heck.
You know,
Gotta keep
they've
those big
always got a
bodies
fire
warm.
inside.
How many centuries, Grundian, have you spent making this place as cozy as it does? Oh, many, untold, he says.
Well, I believe that. I believe that, certainly.
And he begins to come and dish you out some sort of a stew in these huge wooden bowls, and gives you massive tankards of ale.
It's like he doesn't want us to leave today. We're going to eat a hearty meal and have
He
ale
says,
and-
oh, no, eat and drink, and then we shall go. Let us not waste the daylight.
All right.
Very well.
Sounds
Nom,
good to me.
Therefore, eat your fill, drink your fill, and we must go whensoever as you can. However, the horse and the donkey, they must stay. The cart as well. They will not survive in the place to which we are entering.
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah. Up a mountain, wasn't it?
We
You're Indian?
must ascend the mountain to find the Cliffwatcher.
That sounds good to me. I am
If indeed there be.
ready and excited.
So you
I don't
guys
have
kind of
much ale.
probably a good idea. So you guys finish your morning stuff, and again inside here are also Tinkerbell is sort of laying down, doing the horsey lay down, and so is Fabian. And Brecken says, "Is there somewhere we can put them up, or should we just leave them here?" Garundian, there's a pencil. Garundian kind of says, "We will take them to the stable." Well, all right, that sounds fine.
Seems like things are taken care of.
He said, "Then again, let us not waste daylight. Come on, come." And he opens the door to his home, and in blows the cold wind, and he motions for you to follow. He packs up a. You see Garundi, and by the door he packs up a large shoulder pack, which seems to be full of a good amount of stuff. And he says, "Bring rations as much as you can, and I will as well. We should have enough for the road.
How many days of travel do you expect us to be?
From here to the mountain gate, the path should be 4 days.
4 days? Goodness. Well, all right.
Then to the top of the mountain, it is perhaps 2 days more.
Right. And this is, of course, one way, so we should pack for 10 days, 12 days each of us, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So you may be able to gain resources in the place to which we are going.
Oh yeah, well, I definitely plan on that. But you know, these three don't like to eat game that much, so just doing the math for them.
True. I perhaps can feed you with my rations for a week.
Let's hope our ship is still there by the time we get back.
Well, we did send word back from oh, I forget his name now, the second giant we met. He said
Bono.
that yeah, that's it. He went back to the ship and told them that we might be a bit longer than just a week, and so far we have been a week on the island.
I think that that'll be just fine. Bruno will be able to convince them, and plus I imagine that our steadfast crewmates are actually having quite a bit of fun with the giants.
Good, I hope so.
They should be enjoying their company. I'm sure Graziella will find it interesting, and they must have something they can trade in exchange for all of their squid that they've got. They've got plenty of resources. I wouldn't worry about them leaving, and of course they wouldn't take Vissa with them away from me. She wouldn't have it. She would raise hell.
That's true.
Her,
Graziola would have everyone's head before she did anything to hurt.
and so would
at the very
Rosanna.
least, if they did leave, then they were just going for supplies and they'd be right back.
That's true.
Stranded on this island, I highly doubt it.
Even so, I wouldn't want to deal with the wrath of Nikolai after we got back.
Wrath of Nikolai.
He might be very. He might be righteously angry if we take too long, but I'm willing to take that bet.
Nikolai strikes me a man who gets angry for the righteous reason, and isn't really anything other than having to be correct.
We did have that frank talk with him before we left, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Garundian motions again. Come. Please gather your things.
Oh.
Again, he adjusts this pack, this large, it's pretty huge. It looks like he's got 100 pounds of food in there. And he grabs this immense, like 25-foot tall staff, gnarled wood, and it's and up near the top, it like branches out, and it's like almost the top of it almost shines in the light that comes through the doorway. And he says, "Well, let us be off. Bring the beasts. We will go to the stable."
While Wareth and what's that?
Reckon the elf.
Reckon.
That's what I say.
Take care of the animals. I'm gonna get in the cart and grab a knapsack, haversack or something, and I'm gonna fill it with a week of food. 7 days of food. I expect to be gleaning off the land.
Yeah, you can easily pack that much food. You guys have that much in the cart.
Wonderful. And I give Tinkerbell a good scratch and lots of attention, and I give her a carrot. They say, "You better not kill us, Mr. What's that guy's name that you think is the horse?
Pilgrim?
Yeah. You better not come kill us, Mr. Pilgrim. You better not come kill us."
Dee wasn't hearing this. He's not in the area.
So Garundian steps outside, and you see him look towards you, but he just waits patiently.
All right. After I get the horse ready, and I make sure I've got as much rations as I can carry. And
Me as well.
it's about 7 days worth, I think. Is there enough for all of us to take 7 days worth?
Yeah, I'd say there is. You were pretty well provisioned.
Is there happen to be like a blanket or a bedroll in the cart?
Yes, there's at least 2.
I'm gonna take one of them.
Yeah, take one of them. There are 2 bedrolls in the cart.
I have a bedroll.
Yeah,
You
so
got
do
one
I.
on you? Okay.
I'm
So
wondering.
you all have bedrolls, including Brecken. All right. So you as you head outside, Brecken he hooks up Fabian to the wagon, and you guys all tread outside into excuse me, tread outside into the biting wind, and you turn back into the village, where it takes you a few minutes to get back, because his hill house was a few minutes to the north of the village, and you head back down there, and he leads you around a couple of yurts to one of the stable buildings. You hadn't been to it before, but it's one of the larger ones. You see a good group of their rhinos uh, feeding on something, on a mound of something, hay or some sort of vegetable. And there's one giant that's sort of like playing ball, like playing fetch with one of the kula,
Mm.
like and it brings it back. And Garundian says, "Ooh, Leo," and this giant looks back, and he says, "Oh yes, Garundian, what need you? Oh, we have need of stabling for a horse and a donkey and this cart. Can you do this favor for us?" "Ah, well, certainly we can do that. How long will they be?" "I cannot say, but please look after them. It is important to me." And this other giant says, "Of course, we will do that." And he takes and leads both of your animals into he opens a massive barn door and leads them into a very oversized pen made for a rhino, but it easily fits the horse and the donkey and the cart. And he plops some feed down in front of them, and they seem to go for it pretty well. And he says, "They will be fed and taken care of here."
Thank you.
Again, Garundian bows.
Thank you for your hospitality. We will make it up to you.
"Worry not, small folk. Worry only about the journey ahead of you." And he bows and then takes the ball and throws it like all the way across the village for his kula. And the kula goes and gallops off.
These kula are far more entertaining than I thought they were going to be.
Except when they
Well,
bite
almost took my
Nearwind in the
hand
hand.
Well, that was
They
entertaining.
bite Nearwind hard in the hand. He then says, Come, it is time, let us go." You head actually directly back to his house and past it, heading due north, right into the forest. And you begin to wander on through the cold of the morning. And Garundian seems to know the area extremely well, though his path wanders a bit, and it may not be the one that you would have taken. But within the day, near the afternoon, you reach a higher point, and you see it, the mountain far in the distance, looming, just immense and dominating on the horizon. He raises his staff, points toward it. He says, "That is where we must venture. We shall reach the path in 3 days' time. But now we must camp for the evening."
Yeah.
And
Okay.
he leads you on a little bit further, maybe further about a half hour before you reach a spot where he looks like he knows. Did you fart? Mm-mm. It looks like you. Okay.
Why are you even denying it? No one's there.
There is a gulch off of there's not really a road here at all. It's completely untrodden land. There's no footprints or a path that Grundian is following. It just looks like he's going completely off of instinct. But he finds that he leads you to a gulch slightly to the left of the sort of path he was taking you on, and there's some rocks bordering it, some stands of trees, and and down there it looks like a pretty nice place to bed down. So what he does, he goes about and he says, make yourselves comfortable. I shall make sure we have warmth for the evening.
Can you describe kind of like the area, trees, if there's snow on the ground?
Yeah.
I'm imagining we're kind of like in deep snow, but that
Yeah.
might be slightly wrong.
You are in a yes, you're in a savage wilderness. The trees are thick above you and in number. The landscape is uneven, rocky in some places. There are fallen trees. In almost everywhere now, there's snow. As you're venturing northward, rarely do you find somewhere where there is a patch of no snow. And this gulch she leads you into.
You smelling that spaghetti all the way over there?
So it's a pretty untamed northern landscape,
Yeah.
almost Arctic in its in its manner.
Okay, you will if there's like a fallen tree in this like campsite area, he's gonna kind of push away some of the foliage and snow and make like a hovel that he can kind of take shelter underneath it.
Yeah, so this gulch she
And
leads you
tuck
down
it in.
into. You kind of have to slide a little bit down to get into it, but there's some brush. There's a pretty thick branch that's fallen from a nearby tree, and it's got some pine needles and stuff, pine branches on it, and you're able to kind of gather enough together to make a little space beneath, tiny little bit of a hovel where you can bed down for the night. And you hear about you all about you. You hear Garundian kind of. He's around. He's in the area. Kind of, you can hear his thump, 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 and he's humming like songs in Giant, and you can hear like him snapping branches from trees and stuff, and gathering up underbrush while he's like he's Tom Bombadil up in there, just humming and humming and singing his songs. And before long, he comes back with just this immense amount of tinder and like just enough to make a absolute bonfire. And he thwomps it all on the ground, arranges it with some. He picks up some huge, just immense boulders with little effort. Just thwomp, thwomp, makes this big old fire ring. Immense. It arranges this into a bonfire shape, and gets out some flint steel from his pack and until and he also has some tinder in his pack, and he until this fire just blazes before you and lighting up the whole area about the gulch, almost like a dome. And you have a bonfire to shelter you for the night.
Hirundian,
Neat.
you are incredible to watch. I'll be honest.
Impressive.
Thank you for that. You are quite
Power of the
impressive. Look at that. Just
is,
beautiful.
yeah, awe-inspiring, Brecken. Absolutely awe-inspiring.
Herundian sits down with his staff across his knees, and he says, "Oh, I have done this more times than I could count. It is little more than process for me now, though. Seeing it through your eyes again gives it meaning."
Yeah. It's I can tell that it is not anything new to you, but the immense power to us, it's humbling. Especially
Ah,
Wareth. Especially humbling to him.
I see indeed. You know, I've always been fond of small folk.
Well, thank you.
We value your kindness.
Well, after what you've done for me just last night, I think some kindness is deserved in return. I certainly enjoyed very much your gift.
Yeah. I enjoyed talking with you and spending time on the brewery again. It's been a while for me.
So, Hundian, what can you tell me about the Cave Watcher?
The Cliffwatcher.
Cliffwatcher, I knew that.
He is one of our most esteemed, our most respected. Cliffwatcher. The name does not do him justice. Do you know why he's called the Cliffwatcher?
I do not.
No?
Well, in our tongue, you would say his name was Rundain Fayahalatin Chauvin Shiafija.
Yeah, sure.
It
That's what I know
means
about.
it means the learned one who has been near and far and sees from the heights of cliffs to the depths of the sea. And
Ah,
yes, it is my understanding that when this was first told to one of your kind, he found it rather a mouthful and said, how about I call him the Cliff Watcher? And thus that is what we refer to him as to the small folk. To this day.
mm. But in conversation with him, you would call him the other long name you said?
I would, but it would be considered polite for you to simply call him Cliff Watcher.
The translation kind of loses some of the meaning then, yeah?
Oh, it does very much. But
Watcher makes him sound more of a scout, but his full name really touches on the depth of how much he knows and how well traveled he is.
many giant names do, especially those very old among us. Tell a story, truly. For the Cliff Watcher is one of the few among us who has traveled far and wide in this world. Left our isle, in fact.
Really?
Oh, has he really?
He has. Many just centuries past. I do not believe he's left for centuries, at least.
And how long have you known him?
Near from my earliest day.
Ooh. Wow.
Of course, he's so old most of us could say that.
Very interesting thing. I
And
wonder if there's a more fitting name for one such as him, yeah? The Traveled might more sum up his long name.
the traveler. The
Perhaps
wise traveler.
Perhaps it should have been you three, then you four that first named him. It would have been a better name, maybe.
Well, we're nothing if not imaginative.
That I can see is very true.
We'll until we meet him, I suppose we'll stick with the Cliff Watcher and not go renaming him in case he finds it disrespectful.
I would address him by that when you meet him.
In fact, when we first arrived at your island, Bew here thought perhaps that it was the island of giant things, since we had yet to meet any of your kind yet.
As in, just everything is giant.
Well, so far that has been true. The trees are big, the mountains are big, the birds are
Oh.
big.
Yes, that is very true. Your island is quite impressive, just in scale and beauty.
Well, thank you. It is. It is. I thank you for your perspective. Again, makes me feel younger, hearing it with new eyes.
What can you tell me about what? So, I guess your culture, the town, the village that we saw before, was
Ovai.
Ovai. Yes, that was the largest settlement of giants on your island.
Indeed. Not the only one by any means, but it is the largest of our gathering.
And how large would you say an average gathering or town, village, whatever, call it?
You will find the odd scattered settlement where there are perhaps 20 of us or so gather in a few homes. Families sometimes, if they have a few children, will gather in a small community, and then as the children age, they may stay, or they may go off. They may go off to tend their own herds, forge their own path.
Has anyone ever been foolish enough to try to invade your island?
Well, yes,
Really?
it it has been it has been a long time, but some of the more expansionist of the small folk have tried, namely the ones of the West. Those men, I believe you call them the Oslikofians, or something to the like, attempted, uh, when even was it? A century or so, to to make an incursion into our island for resources, or to take our things, our food, our whatever we may have, our lore. But we beat them back. Though we have no armies, we have ways of communicating with each other, even outside of our settlements. We banded together quickly and drove them from their hold on the shore. We crushed their ships into 1,000,000 shards and cast them back from whence they came. I was there.
Yeah, I believe you.
I was there. I threw the fiery spear that set their general off into oblivion.
Wow.
We have not personally, the four of us, run into any Kovians, but we on our way here we did find evidence of their
Seeing the
captivity.
the destruction they leave in their wake.
Yeah.
Oh, so they have not changed their ways.
It doesn't seem so, no.
Not from what we've seen, no.
We talked after we drove them off and said that perhaps they had learned a valuable lesson being shoved off so easily by us, but shame.
Nope, that's not the way. Warith, would you mind if I borrowed your crossbow and maybe 1 or 2 bolts? I'd like to try it for hunting.
Very well.
Yeah.
Gonna go try for a troll?
No, not a troll. Just something small. I would like to not break into the ration so far, especially when they have the forest with creatures living in it.
Be careful, exercise caution, it is getting dark. Though if you are searching for game, there could be rabbits nearby. They are rather small, usually we do not bother with them, but they could be sustenance for one of your stature, or even, if you are very fortunate, a deer.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Something at all.
But to
with
beware the
nothing.
trolls. I would rather not deal with one tonight.
Oh no, I'll be fine.
Oh,
We
a
are
yeti.
exposed, but I will be fine. So I'm gonna take Worth's crossbow and however many bolts he lends me, and I'm gonna see if I can't track some game down for at least me.
All right, you head out into the deepening evening, lights beginning to go down, and you make your way through a little bit of scraggly underbrush that claws at your poncho, but you get to make a survival check.
Natural 20.
Nice.
Wow.
I rolled it and didn't look at it.
What you find is You venture about 100 or so feet from the camp, and there is on a slightly lower elevation than you, like you're on a rock. You come to a rock, and there's a few boulders, and then about 5 feet down, and 20 feet in front of you, you see a speckled deer,
Mm.
and he's just kind of pecking at the ground, looking around a little bit. Is not aware of you.
I'm gonna level the crossbow and take a shot.
All right, roll a range attack
Get another
with
natural 20, please.
with advantage.
Oh my gosh, it was a natural 20.
You cock this crossbow and look straight down it. Breathe in and bolt pierces right through the heart and lungs, and it flails for a few steps and falls over, having been critically injured.
Okay.
So you have a small speckled deer.
Yeah, I'm gonna plot up to it. Set the crossbow nearby. Remove the bolt. Take out the small dagger. And field dress it.
You're able to do that in about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
During which it does become all but completely dark outside. And are you taking back just taking back the carcass?
Yeah. Field dress. So I got all the intestines and just leaving the meat and skeleton and fur. And I will pick up the crossbow in one hand, and the other hand I'll be dragging the deer behind me.
Okay, make a survival check to see how quickly and easily you find your way back to the camp.
Here comes the natural one. Oh, it was a 19. This dice is really so hot tonight.
Ooh, yeah, keep that guy.
Yeah.
You find your way back to the camp very easily, your sense of direction untainted by the oncoming night. And you arrive back triumphantly with your catch, and you tread down into the gully with it. Oh, look at that! He has come back with something.
Impressive, you.
Wow.
This crossbow is very good. I like this thing a lot.
Would you care for me to cook it for you?
Yeah, if you like. I was just gonna get it start cutting it up and placing it on some stones near the fire and let it do its thing. But if you want to help out on that, that would be fine.
I can assist you. I slept last night. I need not sleep for another week or so.
Wow.
Oh, indeed.
And we thought Bew was impressive with his little need for sleep.
Yeah.
I slept well, good and long after all of that ale and company. Now I am refreshed. I will not sleep tonight, nor for perhaps the rest of our journey. Now, let us go about it. And he helps you as the night falls. The rest of you kind of start getting into your bedrolls. You guys, you cook up this deer next to the fire pit.
I want to kind of pick up the skin and try to, I don't know, tan it or whatever, kind of scrape it off and clean it, and I want to use it later.
Sure. Yeah, you can try. You can certainly try. Roll a.
I don't know what.
Roll a
tanning.
survival. Roll a survival check. Or engineering? No. Roll a survival. Yeah, roll survival.
I'd agree with your call. I want another beer.
13.
13. Yeah. So you get this skin, and you're able to pretty easily get the gunk off of the inside of it, and with the help of the fire, you're able to make it into something that could be, it's crude, but you could wear it as like a cloak around your shoulders or something like that.
I'm just expecting it to be quite cold and terrible, so I want everything I can.
Good thinking.
And you're scrawny.
That's true.
He's scrawny. The scrawny, the shrimpy one gets it. That was my favorite line from last time.
Didn't I say something like, Shoot her. I don't. She's gonna kill you.
No, you're the strippy one.
Oh, I forgot. You don't just mean the short one.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Short and stout.
All right, you finish your activities for the evening. Consume. What's that?
How big is Brecken?
Brecken's about my height, maybe 6 feet tall.
How hefty is he? Is he bigger than
he's
Warwick?
Yeah, he's bigger than Warth.
Okay.
He's not like
Try-
crazy muscular, but he's a little more built than Warth is.
Okay. So I'm the smallest one of our group except for Vissa, but she's a child.
And you know what? She's
What a
gonna
role reversal.
be bigger than you.
Probably.
She's gonna grow up and be bigger.
Yeah, well. Fine. I can probably still out-Steve her.
Yeah, but I got hard dicks.
You have the
All
same
right.
dex as me.
Yeah, well, I didn't say he said that. I just said I could out-Steve her because, and I got persuasion and
Yeah, you
deception.
got high charisma, deception, all that. All right, your night comes to a close and you sleep, having no need to set a watch as Garundian continues his vigilance by the fire, just sitting there with his rod across his staff across his knees. The morning of Ande the 18th of the 18th dawns and you guys venture forth. At this point, the wilderness still becomes an ever more savage and wild place. Though no beast accosts you, nor do you sense any danger lurking nearby. But snow covers all of the ground here, and you trudge through it, in some places up as high as your waists, or the shorter one of you at least. The whiteness of the land contrasting these dark pillars of the trees rising all about you. And you have not come upon a clearing in some time, and everything starts to look the same. And surely were it not for Garundian's steadfast lead, you would have become hopelessly lost in these harsh lands.
Except for me.
Because you always know what direction is north, don't you, everyone? I
Yes.
point to it. Point this way. Point now. Which way is north? I have
That
no
way.
idea. Oh, well, that's wonderful, Lucas. I could not tell.
Up that way.
The beer goes in the dark to the dice jail.
The jacuzzi. Anyway.
Another night passes, and another. You sleep each night by a bonfire, kindled by Garundian, shepherded, and as you sleep, he watches over you all the while. This third day passes with a sense of growing urgency. The canopy of trees is so thick here that the land upon which you tread is cast in twilight, and though you cannot see it, you feel the presence of the mountain, dark and foreboding above you.
The Twilight Forest.
The third day draws to a close, and darkness folds in about you. And Garundian looks up, sniffs the air. We are near to the path now. Stay close to me.
Yeah, we will. What do you smell in the air, Irundian?
We are near. This is close to the edge. The path will be found ahead tomorrow.
Close to the edge? Yeah, okay.
The edge of
Sounds
the
good to me.
earth?
What's that?
The edge of the earth?
What's the earth?
The edge of the world?
No, not the edge of the world, just of the forest, but beyond
Okay.
it lies
Ah.
grander things still.
I see what you say. The forest is a bit creepy here, don't you think?
Oh, yes. Just very thick. Nothing untoward about it.
Nothing to
But it
get your
is
britches in a bunch, view.
Have no britches to get in a bunch?
simply darkness. The sun has a difficult time reaching the ground here. Hey, now, let's see.
I can't get it. I can't get it.
I get it.
But as I said, stay close by me. And he begins to set up the bonfire for tonight. And it begins to snow as he sets it up. And you see it filtering through the through the treetops, thick flakes at last filtering all the way down to the ground and falling over you. However, he lights this fire, and through the night, the giant's bonfire is like a shield against the darkness and the cold. You can look towards the flames, but beyond them and all about you, you get to see only mere feet before the black wall rises again. And it seems to you that you spend this night in another world, some place detached from reality, a universe all its own, enfolded by darkness. Until on Thursday, the 21st of Red Moon, you are awoken not by light, but by Garundian's voice. Rise, rise! The hour has come!
I'm
Come,
awake.
come, come!
I'm coming.
All right, let us go on.
Bedroll.
I
Provisions.
fumble and get my crap together.
Brecken stuffs some food into his mouth from his pack real quick, and he says, come, come. We are close. After he leads you away from the camp, less than 2 hours pass before the light begins to grow brighter about you. And it's almost as if the very trees start glowing until you see before you a bright white ray of light. And Garundian motions you towards it. And as your eyes adjust to the gleam, you begin to see that there are two trees separated from each other by about 10 feet. And nothing else blocks their path. They form almost like a doorway between the forest and whatever lies beyond. But it is clear that ahead it changes very much.
What is this ahead of us?
The forest's edge. Your eyes will adjust shortly.
Mhm.
We free to walk through?
Yes, indeed. And he stands next to the doorway with his staff and kind of just motions like ushering you through.
Yeah, okay. I'll plod on through.
Stepping through, you find yourselves bathed in brilliant daylight. The air is crisp and clear, and as you look about, the one thing that dominates your view is the mountain. Grand and just godlike it is. If you look up at it, it's like the tooth of a dragon seeming to pierce the very heavens. And it is not alone, of course, as a great range of these mountains spring from both sides, forming this wall of mountains, almost as if birthed from this central one. And then as you look around the other sides of it, it is just now that you realize how much elevation you've gained in the past few days. Looking back upon the forest beneath you, you can see for many miles all around that you actually have you've come up quite a bit in elevation.
Impressive. Incredible.
My eyes, says Brecken. God, this is absolutely. After the days in there, this is murder and.
Yeah, but it is absolutely beautiful. View is astounding.
What a mountain! Have you ever seen anything like that? I mean, I've seen Arroch, and the highest peak of Arroch is not that tall. Mirwin, would you say how much does this remind you of home?
Very much.
Oh, that's beautiful.
The mountain you are from is as majestic as this one. Mirwin?
Mm, well, like Brecken said, not as big as these mountains, but yes, very majestic.
Oh, I could be exaggerating. I'm just so enthralled. I mean, not to knock Arroch or anything. It's those mountains. There's surely more mountains in Arroch, but these are just. It's like a wall almost. It's insane. I love
Yeah,
it.
I'd like to see your mountains one day, Mirwin. That came out wrong. I'd like to see the place where you were born and lived. No,
You will
Wareth,
have
that
to
is
come to the Aroc Mountains sometimes.
highly inappropriate, Wareth.
When this is all over, who knows? Depending on how much travel we've done, perhaps we'll feel like doing a bit more. We can go see Arroch. We can go see the Highlands of Caswin. We can go and see the the streets of Bracton, or perhaps even Athmindach.
Perhaps.
I would like to also visit the gutter where Wareth was born and raised.
Uh,
Reclaim your position as prince, perhaps.
perhaps murder some true bloods, pure bloods.
True bloods.
Gurundian
That's something
continues
else.
as you guys talk.
Murder them too.
As you guys talk, you're following Gurundian a little bit. He's you're finding some boulders becoming more prominent in this area. Now he leads you a couple hundred feet around a sort of a bend around a couple of very prominent boulders, and here you see a sort of path begin to form. Now beneath your feet here, the land has been tamed somewhat, carved almost into a road, though it's not civilized by any means. You follow it with your eyes, and you see it begin to snake up the side of the mountain, just kind of carved into it. And there you notice just a few hundred feet ahead, there are two immense totem poles.
Ooh.
Garundian motions you to follow. He brings you right up to them. And you see they're carved in faces similar to that wooden totem in Ovaí, though these are bare rock and their features smoothed away by centuries of wind and snow. And Garundian says, "Long days has it been since I've come here." And he runs a hand over it.
You had a similar totem in the center of Ovaí, is that correct?
It is, indeed. That one is old as well. These, however, much older.
Are they really? What do they signify, if anything?
Faces of the ancestors, and before the ancestors, the old ones.
The older ones? What, you say the older ones with some sort of reverence. What exactly would you call the older ones?
We have word for them in our tongue, but I do not know if the word or name Izid means anything to you.
Yizid?
But
I would
I
ask
don't
the
know.
GM if
Does
I
it?
could roll history, but I'm guessing it's probably not something that we'll know.
give me 1 second.
Ooh.
When he says this word, Izid, Brecken looks almost panicked. He looks very taken aback. He says, "What did you say?" Herundian says, easy. And Beckett says, oh, okay, right. And they are the ones who came before? And Grundian says, yes, yes, that would be how I would put it. And Brecken just kind of looks wide-eyed and
What
says
is
no more.
what does that word mean to you, Brecken? You seem startled.
I'm nothing for sure that I know of right now. We'll just a thought. We'll have to talk about it later.
Did we just out of pure random chance and the thought of adventure come to the right island, do you think, Brecken?
Well, he said I read. I thought it was just. I thought I was wrong, or that I had mistranslated. But this isn't the time.
Yeah, okay.
Very well.
Sounds good.